In this video series, we're going to go over exercises designed for mature clients and master's level athletes. The first exercise you see is what I call a plank into a downward dog. This is great for hip mobility. It's also great for shoulder mobility. Going through this movement, you can have the hands on the floor. You can also have your hands on a chair, table, or a stable surface. Press your hips back toward the wall behind you, keeping the arms straight. If you have a history of shoulder impingement or shoulder pain, with this one, take the hands a little bit wider. You can also play around with moving the arms narrower and playing around with moving the feet a little bit wider or narrower. You can also do that one with your elbows on a table or chair. The next exercise is what I call a sit to stand, also known as a squat. Okay, with this exercise, feet start shoulder width apart, point the toes slightly out to the side. You're going down to a surface that sits somewhere just below the height of your knee. For those of you who have knee injury and knee pain, take the range of motion a little bit shallower. Don't go as low. You'll see I use my arms in front of me as a counterbalance, and my focus here is on keeping a nice neutral spine, flat back position as I'm bringing my hips down toward my surface. To stand up, push through your heels and squeeze your bum. This is our 3-point Romanian deadlift or broomstick hinge. The broomstick's going to go on your head, shoulders, and your butt. You can see here my left arm is overhead, my right arm is down on the small of my back, pressing the broomstick in to my head as well as the top of my bum. Hinging forward, my feet are going to be about hip width apart, slight bend in the knees. You're hinging, push your hips back, coming up, squeeze your bum and use your hamstrings. You're going for about 8 reps or so on each side, and then switch. The other arm comes up overhead. This is a great exercise for teaching a forward swing position for those of you who are rowers. It's also a great exercise for working on mobility as well as posture. If you formerly have struggled with low back pain, it's a really great exercise for teaching some nice postural awareness, some spinal awareness. It's also very good if you started to get rounding through the upper part of your spine in a forward head slump, trying to get the spine to all move in one motion together. This next exercise, you'll need a stable wall. Okay, take those arms in a nice wide position on the broomstick. You're going to take the arms overhead, slide down the wall, slide back up the wall. Fingers are on the ground, or knuckles, I should say, are on the wall. And then your hands come in front of you and you do a little bench press. Okay, ideally with this one, we want your arms in a Y position when you're reaching up overhead, not straight up over the shoulders, slightly wider. It's going to be an easier movement with my arms out wider than when my arms are narrower. As I reach up overhead, I can make this more challenging by keeping my head, my shoulders, and my bum pressing into the wall. A more advanced variation is to press the back flat completely into the wall, so I'm using my core throughout the entire movement. Inline walk with knee drive. So here you'll see I put that broomstick down on the ground, so I have a line to follow with this one. You're walking heel toe, bringing that knee up nice and high in front of you. When that knee lifts up, the toe also lifts up. In the video, I have my hands on my hips, but if you need more balance, you can take your hands off your hips and use them out to your side to help you find that positioning. Here we'll go forward and back along the length of the dowel. Then to make this harder, we can add a hurdle knee out to the side. So that knee comes out to the side and that foot steps in front. As you're going back with this one, the knee lifts up first, then the leg swings out to the side. Tricky part with this hurdle leg is keeping the hips square, facing forward, as you're making that big circle open and closed with the knee. Here we have another great balance exercise. It's a progression from our broomstick Romanian deadlift. So this is a single leg airplane. You have the option to add a knee drive. If you're unstable to start, have a surface where you can lightly touch with one hand and then eventually progress so you only have a pinky touching that surface. I recommend if you're indoors starting this barefoot on the floor on a nice stable surface. It will get harder as you go carpeted or as you stand on a yoga mat and you put shoes on. Here you can see my hands are straight out to the side. As I'm hinging forward, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle are all in one straight line, and I'm trying to get my upper body parallel to the ground. You'll find here, especially if you're tight, in the back of that leg, that's your stance leg, you're going to find that your hips are going to want to open up to the side wall instead of facing toward the ground. The goal is to do whatever range of motion you can while keeping those hips square to the ground. If you fall out of it, stay composed, go back into that position again, and give it another try. Last exercise I threw in here as a bonus exercise is one of my favorite core exercises. I'm demonstrating this one on a bench that we have. You can also do this one on a bed, a couch. You can do this one on the floor as well. So you'll see here my back is flat on the surface. My head is in a nice neutral position. Okay, if you need a pillow underneath the back of your head, that's totally fine. Knees start over my hips. Toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. I'm reaching opposite hand, opposite leg away from each other. As I'm extending my arm and my leg away from each other, I'm making sure to keep pulling my ribs towards my hips. So I'm bracing through the front of my core. Relax your hip flexors and try to use your lower abs and your abdominals in this.